Well, that's 11:30 a.m. Good morning. Welcome to news from here on GHOne television. We are live from our studios at the Platinum Place, also live on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube at GHOne TV. Now, here's what to expect in this broadcast. As President Mahama prepares to grade himself later this evening after 120 days in office, we examine some of the benchmarks underpinning his social contract with Ghanaians. Also, Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Ekow, Vincent Assafuah, eyes review after Supreme Court dismissed Injunction bid against CJ removal process. Ghana Police Service assures safe return of kidnapped victims rescued from Nigeria. In business this morning, inflation falls to 21.2% in April 2025, but Statistical Service urges more government action to protect the vulnerable. And on the international front, over 130 Cardinals convene in Vatican to begin secretive process of electing new Pope after the passing of Pope Francis. Well, we've got the details of these stories and more here in the next hour. Do stay with me. Well, grateful for your company this morning. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. The details now. And President John Mahama is expected to address Ghanaians today, offering a comprehensive update on the progress made under his 120-day social contract. The 26-point document touches on the economy, conduct of government officials, and a series of social interventions. Now, the address will outline key achievements, ongoing initiatives, and the government's roadmap for the months ahead. Awuku has more in this report.
We'll scrap the following draconian taxes to alleviate hardship and ease the high cost of doing business in our first 90 days in office.
It's here, the first 120 days of President John Mahama's return to the Jubilee House. Back in December, he laid down a bold 11-page blueprint with 26 promises. Today, the countdown clock hits 0. So, has the ink turned into action? President Mahama had promised to constitute the leanest and most efficient government in his first 90 days in office. So far, 56 ministerial positions have been occupied, constituted by 23 ministers, 16 regional ministers, 13 deputy ministers, and 4 ministers of state. Another was the establishment of robust code of conduct and standards for all government officials.
I have imposed a ban on non-essential travel forthwith to cut down expenditure. Any travel that is deemed essential and necessary must be cleared first with the Office of the Chief of Staff. And such travels will have to be undertaken in modesty, no first class.
Assets declared cannot take checkbox for everyone. First-class flights banned, check.
Upon us, an era of bold transformation, economic expansion, and limitless opportunities. At the heart of our vision for Ghana's future is the implementation of a 24-hour economy that works for all.
Dialogue happened. Now we wait to see if it was more than just a group therapy session for economists. He vowed to take a chainsaw to the unpopular taxes, e-levy, COVID levy, 10% levy on bet winnings, and the emissions levy. And finally, the crown jewel, the 24-hour economy, not just a slogan anymore. Gusi Tando is advising, a 90-member committee is plotting, and the president himself is chairing. So if you're wondering when Ghana won't sleep, apparently it's in the works. 120 days in, the checklist has ticks, asterisks, and a few TBDs. Promises were made, and while not all have been kept, the wheels are certainly turning.
So that's it. President John Mahama entered a contract with us. And for those of you who are yet to come to terms with exactly what is contained in that 120-day social contract, my colleague Emmanuel Jabin is here to help us appreciate what exactly was contained there and whether or not John Mahama has been able to tick off all the things he puts in there. Ima, walk us through that.
Well, he made 26 promises to achieve all of them in 120 days. But we'll go through and we'll see whether, as we go through, I'll mention the promise and try to cast my mind back and see, per my independent verification, whether it's been done. But the president will address and then ask and we'll know exactly what he has to say about it. But so, his first 120-day social contract, I think when it comes to people's minds initially, what they care most about is the vetting tax, but it starts somewhere else before that. So the first one, he makes mention of within 2 weeks setting up his cabinet. We do know that the president has 56 ministers, which is quite low as compared to previous numbers. So he has achieved that. The leanest and the most efficient government, as he said. He has less than 100 presidential staffers. The previous government did about 330, but he has less than that.
And there's been questions about that.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's lean, okay. But is it efficient? That's another thing for
people are having concerns about a number of committees that are coming up and all of that. The third one has to do with the code of conduct, which we also of this week, he made that possible. The national economic dialogue, we saw that one happen as well. So on the very first page, the first 4 he's done, we have 22 more to go to see whether he has actually done that. The first 90 days, the taxes, e-levy, COVID, the bet winners and emissions levy, there's some work being done on that, and we can see fully that that has been achieved. As well, when it comes to, he says that when it comes to taxes on levies and levies on vehicles that we are importing and a review of it, I do understand from the Shippers Authority that the concentration now for government is that they are setting up another committee to look at that particular, the port charges in whole. It's a post that was made by now Director General for the Shippers Authority, that is Professor Ransford Jampo. Right. Yeah, he made that post on Facebook. He spoke as well about drafting needed legal amendments for the 24-hour economy policy. We do understand and we do know now that that is actually currently under review. The president is currently working on that as to whether it's out yet. I haven't seen it, so we would leave that to the president's address later this evening. So on the second page, 2 of them we can confirm independently that is done. The 7th one would see what work has been done this evening in the president's address. We flip to the next 3. The establishment of the Accelerated Export Development Council, that has been done. The National Consultative Conference on Education, that as well has been done. As well, the no academic fee policy, that as well has been done with an allocation of about 500 million Ghana cedis. I think the exact figure is 499.98 million Ghana cedis that was provided for this particular policy. The next set, we have the free tertiary education for persons with disabilities and then the launch of the Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund. Yes, this has been launched with some ministers having to forfeit 4 months of salaries into that particular fund and some promises made as well. And then as well, the free sanitary pass to female students in primary and secondary schools, that has been done. About 300 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to that. The exact figure is also around 299 million Ghana cedis. So far on our independent checks, there's some work being done. When it comes to point 13, it has to do the review of matters concerning the collapse of banks, the illegal and inflated single contracts, PDS scandal, Japan. We do not know how far with this particular one, but we have constantly seen the AG mention that there's some work being done by IOCO to investigate a number of issues. As to whether this falls into it, we'll find out this evening when the president speaks. So we are done with that. In the next half, which makes up the remainder to 26 promises that President John Mahama has made, we are looking at the next one, which comes shortly on your screens now. Government policy banning political appointees from purchasing state assets. That is codified in the President's Code of Conduct launched. The Women's Development Bank, on in his president's first speech in Parliament, he did mention that will be done in 120 days. And so if I use that February 27 date, I would say it's not yet up to that 120 days, but I would see this evening what work has been done as well on that particular one. A Jumera program, the National Apprenticeship Program, the 1 million coders program that has been launched successfully by this government. The next set, which is the next two, we have the cost of this one. There's a committee that is reviewing it. That's when it comes to the Customs Amendment Act to scrap some laws and some port charges on vehicles and all of that. The point 8 really has to do with streamlined government scholarship administration. Parliament is on recess as to whether a bill was laid before they went on recess. We'll find out this evening when the president speaks. Let's speak to the final 8. The ban on illegal and new mining activities, that has been done, but our concern is about LI 2462. Exactly.
But we've been told that would also be abolished or scrapped once Parliament reconvenes. That's the assurance.
Well, we look forward to that. But the Blue Water Initiative and the Tree for Life, that has been done. The Blue Water Guards, we've seen them. The launch of the Black Star Experience, that was done last week. The Independence Act. And then 21, commence investigation into state security agencies, the purging of it with all militia and all vigilante elements in state militia and in state security agencies. This one we do not have a clear indication on that. We've not heard that from the defense minister or the interior minister, but I look forward to having that particular update this evening. The final 5 would brief you shortly on that. The last 2 we have is the steps to compensate the flood victims, including those in the Otibono and Savannah region. That we do not know yet if that has been done as well. A shaking up of loss-making SOEs. We do know that some CEOs were acting and they are no longer acting. We do know that ECG, there's a committee that has been set up to look at operations of ECG, but the shake-up exactly to all of them, we are yet to see. So far, this is President John Mahama's social contracts, and we look forward to this evening's address to see what work has been done on those that we cannot independently verify for now.
Yes, so clearly there is so much to expect, especially as the president readies to now mark himself and tell us, well, I said I've been able to achieve this and that, but we'll get to know. Baima, you have another story for them.
Press Secretary and spokesperson to the Vice President Mahama Pratt says she will score President Mahama 90% on his 120-day social contract with Ghanaians. According to her, the Mahama government has set the bar so high, while admitting that not everything has been fulfilled in the 120-day social contract. She spoke on GHOne today.
As soon as he won the election, he immediately went full force, named the ministers. They went through vetting. With the speed of lightning, everybody's working. But for me, what's even more impressive is the numbers. He said he was going to give us the leanest and yet the most efficient, cabinet ever. And again, he has so now he said 60. We are operating on 56.
Right.
Let's pause on that for a minute. This country is running on 56 ministers. It hasn't happened in our recent history. And for me, I think that when I say it sounds like, oh, of course you'd say that. But let's be fair. Let's think about this for a minute. It's ridiculously impressive, if I could say so. And everything he said he would do, he has done. Yes, there are a few things that are still in progress. When we say we are giving him 90%, it means that there's some 10% that's still undone. But there are reasons for that. In some of the instances, these are things that require, sometimes change of law even. There are constitutional requirements, some of the things that he wants to do. So, yes, sometimes you have the best of intentions, you have the best of wishes, but bureaucracy would slow you down, right, which is what is happening in some of the instances. But overall, I'm just waiting for APR to give him 100%.
From 90, there is a slash to a half of that particular figure. The NDC had us at 90, that's a spokesperson. Now we have another spokesperson on the NPP 2024 Manifesto Committee saying she will score President
The
Mahama.
Health Committee,
yes,
precisely.
Giving President Mahama 45% on his 120-day social contract. Let's listen to that. Dr. Kiamwako on that.
I have heard a lot of members of the NDC use the excuse of bureaucracy and basically just how the system runs as an excuse for some of the things they haven't fulfilled. But to me, that's a huge letdown, not just for us, but for all Ghanaians, because the expectation is that His Excellency John Mahama has been president before, so he understands the system properly. So when he was making these comments here, we've done our own analysis. We humbly give him about 45%. If you give us some time, we can go through it. It's quite clear. And they were very clever with the wording. Some of the things, when they are campaigning, we would do this, but in the 120-day contract, it says initiate. So when you are judging them, it's even the 45 is a very, I don't know how it's a very let my people go score.
So the 45%, according to her, is a let my people go.
It reminds me of let my vote count. Now it's let my people go.
The vote has counted already. but these are the political parties basically giving us their own assessments of John Mahama's 120-day contract with Ghana. But then the interesting bit is, yes, the final arbiter would be the people of Ghana. What have you also been saying regarding how John Mahama, as president of the land, has performed based on this contract? We took to the streets and some of you shared your thoughts with us.
So far, so good. I think majority of Ghanaians will be glad that they voted for him because of the changes that he has brought so far. And then I think 120 days is too early to judge him, but from what he has done, we can predict that he's going to do better. And then we are expecting him to do better anyway.
I think he's doing well. I mean, all the promises that he promised to deliver so far, I think about 90% has been done. So my assessment is so far so good.
In terms of percentage, 99, because so far so good. Every president, another president, be or yes and or yeah. In terms of principle, also Ghana for who say, and your politics na dia uka and when na odi Ubekana Ghana for Nina who say, the Oka and when now, fine, so far so good, but it's too early. And the Yemen at least roughly 6 months or 1 year. Now, and so far so good.
Even though he said he'll do some certain things, he's still working on it, but he has also done other things. The city's catching up with the dollar, that's a good improvement. So I think it's too early to judge him. We should give him at least a year. 1 whole year, then we can judge him. After a lot of presidents have promised and failed, but he's working on it. And he said it's not easy. So we should just give him time.
Well, so those of you who engaged us said so far so good, and then varied opinions on the 120-day contract. But social media has gone rife. People are talking about their assessment also. And Nana Akwa is joining me with your thoughts on social media. Nana, so is it still so far so good on social media as well?
Well, some people are saying they want 90 days. Some people are saying they want 1 year, 6 months. Now we are at the 120-day point. When we move over to Facebook, Patty says in his 120-day social contract, he's done so much that it needs to be celebrated. Congratulations, JDM. Desmond says he's a man too great, making the presidency attractive. We also have Yunus. The appreciation of the city and the drop of fuel prices alone, he says, is enough accomplishment for the 120 days. Nana Addo says 120 days full of hopelessness, lies, scams, scandals, and propaganda. John Mahama is a complete failure. Then when we move over to Instagram, Na says we go hear whatever we want here in Sempi. Indeed. Kwame says that he is distributing sanitary pads. I hope he also talks about Dumso. We have Hugo here. Nothing you get for Dumso King Kong. Then we have Ohima, President Mahama, father of Ghana. Now we have a breakdown from Kwabena here. In his 120 days, number one, cement has been increased from 86 to 130 Ghana cedis. 2, the Kenke price was 5 Ghana cedis. Some people voted against, is now 7 Ghana cedis. Number 3, utilities have been increased by 14%. Number 4, 1,300 containers disappeared just like the unconfirmed flu to Burkina. Number 5, Dumso is officially back. Number 6, cocaine dear, yen kampo. Number 7, the reset, he says, is reversing. Number 8, 24-hour economy was just a political slogan. And number 9, Galamsey is increasing more than before. He says, Kwabena says, your best achievement ever as a president is sharing sanitary pads as a major policy. I'm a Ghanaian and I have my freedom of speech. Indeed, we all have our freedom of speech. So we wait with bated breath until 8:30 this evening, when we will see what Mr. Mahama, or President Mahama, should I say, will tell us concerning his 120-day social contract with the Ghanaian public. My name is Nana Addo. Joshua, back to you.
Many thanks to you, Nana Addo. And yes, like you said, we'll be waiting with bated breath, and we'll be live here on GHOne television with that particular address to let you know exactly what President Mahama's score of his administration and this particular contract is concerned. But away from that, the Supreme Court, by a 3-2 majority decision yesterday, Tuesday, dismissed an application seeking to reverse the suspension of Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokono, against whom removal processes are ongoing. Now, the majority ruled that the case should proceed without delay, with Justices Henrietta Mensah Bonsu and Ernest Kbu dissenting. Our legal affairs correspondent Mutala Inusa reports.
The Supreme Court has, by a majority decision 3-2, dismissed Vincent Ekow Assafuah's interlocutory injunction seeking to have the suspension warrant issued by the president to have the Chief Justice suspended pending the determination of petitions seeking her removal. This was after his lawyers, led by Godfred Yeboah, the former Attorney General, advanced his argument and same opposed to by the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Jesri Sremsai. But moments after all the parties have made their case to the court, the panel retired, and by the decision of the court presided over by Justice Paul Bafuboni, their decision was that 3-2, with Justice Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu and Justice Ernest Kbu dissenting. The rest of the 3, including the Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni and Justice Omoro Tanku and Justice Emmanuel Yoni Kolendi, the decision is that the application has no merit and same has been dismissed. The Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Jesri Sremsai, makes the point that nothing stops the President from continuing with the processes to have the Chief Justice petition looked into.
The process will go on. The committee would sit, they would hear the inquiry into the matter. And of course, I have always maintained that the finding of prima facie case is not automatic that the Chief Justice or the person who is being, who is the subject matter of the petition has been removed. It is not at all. So it may come out that the Chief Justice, the petition has not been of merit, and the Chief Justice will be restored to her position. I am always surprised that people have concluded that the fact that prima facie case is found, then it means that the Chief Justice automatically is removed from office. And you could see that is what actually motivates this petition, this motion that have been filed. I think the underlying understanding, which I consider a misunderstanding, is that the plaintiff believes that when a prima facie case is established, then it's a gone issue. But it is not.
Godfred Yeboah, who earlier raised objection to the inclusion or to off Justice Paul Bafuboni presiding over the case, expressed his opinion on why he raised the objections.
The reasons for the decision have not been known. Of course, clearly, the spirit of Article 146 we're talking about. In the first place, it is important to indicate that nowhere in Article 146 will you find a requirement for prima facie intervention made for a Chief Justice. But the Supreme Court itself imported that into Article 146 in 2005 when it authenticated on that issue matter. But of course, the Supreme Court was silent on whether there ought to be notification to the Chief Justice and obtaining of his comments before triggering the process. And that is what is in this week before the courts.
The applicant in the matter, Vincent Ekow Assafuah, has also been reacting. Is it the end of the road for him?
I don't think this is the end of the road. But let's just get the reasoning first. When we get the reasoning, of course, the 3-2 ruling suggests that the Supreme Court itself sees some reasoning in the arguments that we make in court. It tells you that our argument or the reasoning that we advanced in court was quite potent. And so let's get the reasoning, and when we're able to get the reasoning, we'll be able to decide.
Clearly, the parties will want to see the full reasoning of the Apex Court will be ready by 31st of May. Until then, the parties will have to accept the decision it is now until further notice. From the Supreme Court here in Accra, Mutala Inusa, GHOne.
Well, let's speak to the Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Ekow, Assafuah, who actually went to the Supreme Court to demand or to seek that interlocutory injunction. He's joined us on the phone lines now. Thank you so much for joining us. So yesterday, 3-2 majority, your interlocutory injunction that you were seeking was dismissed by the Supreme Court. Some say, well, the premise for going to the Supreme Court was politically motivated. Do you see that as reason why it was ruled against you?
Well, let me say that justice will always have to be seen to be done. And as soon as there's an impression that is created in the minds of the parties or any of the parties or the Ghanaian, it becomes very difficult for you to accept the ruling. I disagree with the ruling. First and foremost, the court. However, it is my belief that when the reasoning finally is given to us, we would be able to know as to the rationale behind the 3-2 decision by the Supreme Court. I am comforted, especially with the fact that we have 2 of the Supreme Court judges believing in our case. And so that in itself tells me that there is hope. Ab initio, I think that it is likely that we may seek for a review because as to how the panel was changed is problematic to me. And why the CJ, that is the acting CJ himself, also decided to sit on the matter does not sit well with me, even though he is not constitutionally bad to do what he did. But the appropriateness of sin, the morality of it is crucial to us for the integrity of our justice system.
So you say that clearly you would be seeking a review going forward, and you raise concerns about the empaneling of the justices for this case. Do you believe that had any role whatsoever to play in the decision arrived at?
I didn't get that.
So I'm asking, you raised concerns about the empaneling of justices for this particular case yesterday, and I'm asking, do you think that contributed to the outcome of the decision we saw yesterday?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. Of course, if you have judges who were just replaced onto the panel, and all the 3 of them who were replaced come to say that I do not agree with you, it seems to me that it is choreographed. I mean, some discussion.
Beyond the courts, should we expect you to take this matter up even in Parliament when the House reconvenes?
Well, I think that when Parliament reconvenes, we may make a case or a statement to that effect, especially with regards to Article 296, as to the discretionary bit that is in the Article 296, as to how the President of the Republic of Ghana will have to exercise his discretion. And so, in the event that Parliament reconvenes, there are a lot of opportunity or platforms available to us for us to be able to make sure that our voices are heard.
Vincent, thank you so much for speaking with us. That's Vincent Ekow Assafuah. He's Member of Parliament for Old Tafo. He's also the applicant in this particular matter, challenging the suspension of the Chief Justice to allow for some investigation to take place. Now, the Ghana Police Service has launched investigations into the alleged assault of a uniformed officer during the Save the Judiciary demonstration on Monday, reportedly involving the minority leader in Parliament, Alexander Kwabena Apenyomarkin. Now, speaking at a media briefing in Accra, Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, DCOP Lydia Donko, confirmed that the police have already gathered eyewitness statements related to the incident. Now, she noted that further action will follow upon the expected release of the minority leader by the Speaker of Parliament to assist in the ongoing investigation. DCOP Donko assured the public that due process will be followed and reiterated the service's commitment to upholding the law regardless of the status or position of those involved.
I believe that we also, or there are videos in social media about an altercation or confrontation that happened during the demonstration. We captured it on our lenses as well, so it's a matter of investigation. If it's an assault, if it's a tussle or a confrontation, whatever it is called, it has to be investigated. So we've commenced that investigation. We've written to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament because he's a sitting member of Parliament. We've identified the police officers who were on duty at the scene. We have taken statements and will definitely update you in due course.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Police Service has assured the public of full security support for any election collation exercise once the Electoral Commission is ready to proceed. Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, DCOP Lydia Donko, made this revelation at a press briefing here in Accra.
The election collation, as Director of Public Affairs said, if the EC is ready, we are always ready to provide the security. So I believe that they'll take it up with the Inspector General of Police, but the service is always ready to provide the needed security support for any exercise, whether it's the EC or any other institution.
Well, the Electoral Commission is set to hold a decisive meeting tomorrow to determine the way forward for the Abukabua North parliamentary seat. The constituency has been mired in controversy following the December 7 election and to date remains without representation in Parliament. The constituency has been without an MP 5 months after the parliamentary election. Now, according to our sources at the Electoral Commission, the EC will meet with the parliamentary candidates for the constituency to carve new solutions to end the stalemate. Now, we'll bring you updates on that as the story develops. We're billed to speak to the parties, the NPP and the NDC, engaged in the stalemates in Abukabua North. Unfortunately, our calls have gone unanswered, and as and when we are able to raise them, we'll have the conversation with them ahead of that meeting we are told is happening tomorrow to get to find out the way forward for the constituency. But still, in some partisan politics, some aggrieved supporters and branch executives of the NDC in the Abukabua constituency of the Central Region are calling on the national leadership of the party to caution the MP for the area, Felix Kwakye-Fosu, over what they describe as his arrogance, blame shifting, and attempts to undermine the authority of the constituency chairman, Vincent. Now, they spoke with the news team in the region.
The group is urging the NP, Felix Kwakye-Fosu, to stop creating factions and division within the party and instead work in harmony with the constituency chairman to ensure unity and peace ahead of the 2028 elections. Addressing a press conference, the leader of the aggrieved branch executives, Solomon Yao-Benso, accused Felix Kwakye-Fosu, who also serves as the minister in charge of government communications, of exhibiting arrogance, insubordination, and discriminatory behavior toward party members. He claimed that the MP is sowing seeds of disunity in the constituency and called on the national executives of the NDC and President John Mahama to take notice, warning that Felix Kwakye-Fosu would be responsible if the party loses the 2028 election in the area.
Media Minister, I honorable Akwapeyi, until Atino, Yen Yakwafe, Yakwa loss, Yakasu, Yakapa, I Minister, Oti Aquanition. I LP, first Kachopo, champion, Ongo, American champion. Number all to impose a champion no and me American party Yantani NDC Yantani and this all everyone know tournament I have no party no I Mamifo Papa Fo now now when you Morocco then who party and what is essentially on your be away in this car more plenty ready every year when you the more and Yazamo. In an
interview with GHOne News' John, some party supporters also expressed disappointment in the MP's conduct. They warned that Felix Kwakye-Ofosu's attitude could cost the NDC dearly in the next general election, stating that after helping him win in 2024, he has now turned his back on the party grassroots.
Honorable Party Felix, we are not happy with it. We like him, we chose him to lead us. Go on and the government come out. Let's send our chairman. You understand? Felix should behave, as expected. We are youth. Other than me, just your PD, but you might have boy money. It is a boy money. Let's start there. I think it's a bit of a party with that. And on the idea, show Mama most put why you must come small.
Now, the Accra High Court, presided over by Justice John Bosco Nabarese, has sentenced former National Service personnel Deborah Adabla to 45 days imprisonment for contempt. Adabla was found guilty for contempt a day after the plaintiff in a case involving banker Ernest Kwesi-Makon was ordered to appear and show cause why she should not be held in contempt. The court had issued a bench warrant for her arrest after videos played in open court appeared to show her making disparaging remarks about the judge. On Tuesday, May 6, Adabla was produced in court by her lawyers, but her explanation to the said disparaging remarks did not satisfy the court. Hence, the court's decision to sentence her to prison. Now, dialysis services at the Kbu Teaching Hospital have resumed full operations following a brief disruption that affected some patients earlier this week. Now, the unit faced a temporary scheduling challenge, which led to concerns among dialysis patients over missed appointments and delayed sessions. My colleague Isaac Abdullah visited the facility and reports.
Operations at the Kbu Teaching Hospital's renal unit has returned to normal after a brief scheduling issue affected the services for some patients. Our checks here reveal that the place has not been totally shut down, as been circulated in the media. The head of the facility's public relations, Mustafa Salifu, has been addressing GHOne News on the matter.
I want to put it on record that we never closed down the renal dialysis unit, as being circulated in sections of the media. What happened was that last week we had a problem with the scheduling, because problem with access to the consumables that we used in the dialysis. That actually affected the schedule for the staff members. But we have been able to resolve that. And then yesterday, those who were affected and could not have their dialysis done within the period have been called in, and they are being dialyzed from today. Really, it actually affected some of the patients, but we didn't close down the dialysis unit.
Some patients here who are receiving normal treatment.
I make a say no, 16 years, na ya come. I thought that the medebe fa card na ba even free no kra no the medebe fo card ba no kra na ya de nti ba say no man ni ho nti ye mfre na ye ha adwen bo nse na nipa no obre wa wontimi nhwe ne nti obi busia kra ye se okope na wode no ba nti esese tembia na ba be emwa ye be ombenya no ma tembia mo afre no mo ayamaye.
Hospital management has assured that measures are being instituted to prevent a recurrence of the disruption, with emphasis on improving scheduling systems and service coordination.
Well, you're still watching news from here on GHOne television. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. We'll take a short break and return with more. Do stay with us. Well, you're still watching news from here on GHOne television. It's time to bring you the latest in the world of business. And in business this afternoon, Ghana's year-on-year inflation rate for April 2025 has declined to 21.2%, down from 22.4% recorded in March. Now, this marks the fifth straight month of easing inflation, signaling a possible stabilization of prices after a period of sustained highs. Now, announcing the figures, government statistician Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu revealed that food inflation continues to be the dominant contributor to overall inflation. On the regional front, the Upper West region recorded the highest inflation rate at 37.1%, while the Volta region saw the lowest at 18.3%.
The year-on-year inflation rate in April 2025 stood at 21.2%, a decline from the 22.4% recorded in March 2025, making the fifth consecutive monthly decline. This sustained drop is a positive signal of moderating inflationary pressures. However, if you look at the month-on-month data, we saw an increase to 0.8% following the 0.2% in March, which is suggesting that vigilance is still required to tame inflation. The overall outlook is cautiously optimistic, with opportunities to consolidate gains and enhance economic resilience. So in terms of recommendations, we'd like to highlight that for households, they should continue to manage expenditures cautiously and remain responsive to changes in price of items such as food and transport, as we saw in the data, which have shown volatility. And then for businesses, we would recommend that they should continue to take advantage of the easing cost pressures we are seeing to rebuild margins or provide price relief to consumers, especially in sectors that are heavily reliant on transport and imported goods, such as food and restaurant and accommodation services. The Upper West region recorded the highest inflation of 37.1%, whilst the Volta region recorded the lowest inflation.
Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GHOTA, has lauded the Bank of Ghana for its efforts in stabilizing the foreign exchange market and strengthening the local currency. In a statement issued by the union, GHOTA acknowledged that the Ghanaian cedi has recorded notable gains against major trading currencies since January. Now, the union expressed optimism that the recent currency performance has renewed hope within the business community, particularly in the recovery of capital losses experienced over recent years. Now, GHOTA further encouraged the government and the central bank to sustain prudent monetary interventions aimed at ensuring long-term economic stability and enhancing business competitiveness across sectors. Well, that's it for business this afternoon. We have more for you now. Well, the Circuit Court in Accra has granted bail to 4 persons charged with possession and attempted exploitation of narcotic drugs in the combined sum of 52 million Ghana cedis. The 4, Gariba Sole, an artifact dealer, Josiah Baini, Emmanuel Mensah, and Kwabna Ampofo Enti, all freight forwarders, were each granted bail in the sum of 13 million cedis, totaling 52 million cedis. Now, per the conditions of the bail, each of the accused was required to provide 4 sureties, with each surety being a public servant earning a net salary of not less than 5,000 cedis. One of the sureties was required to provide a landed property valued at 1 million cedis. Now, the court also directed that the Narcotics Control Commission should take their biodata submitted to the passport office. The accused persons' pleas have not been taken on the provisional charges, which include conspiracy, attempted exploitation of narcotic drugs without a license, and possession of narcotic drugs without lawful authority. The court, presided over by Sedinam Awo Kwadam, adjourned the case to June 18. Andrew Kodjo led the team of defense lawyers in securing bail for the accused persons. Now, the brief facts of the case were that the witnesses in the case are authorized officers of the Narcotics Control Commission stationed at the Swissport Cargo Terminal of the Kodjo International Airport in Accra. It said the suspect, Gariba Sole, is an artifact dealer operating from the Art Exhibition Center here in Accra, while suspects Josiah Baini, Emmanuel Mensah, and Kwabna Ampofo Enti are freight forwarders and employees of Ansadi's Shipping and Logistics Company Limited, located at the Aviance Cargo Village at the Kodjo International Airport. In some other stories, the Supreme Court of Ghana has adjourned indefinitely the judgment of the suit filed by Professor Kwesi, the Director of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center and Imani Center for Policy and Education, a civil society organization, against the firing of security heads. Imani Africa and Professor Kwesi sued the state regarding President Akufo Addo's power to fire the heads of Ghana's internal security agencies, including the Chief Fire Officer of the Fire Service, the Inspector General of the Police Service, the Director General of Prison Service, and the Controller General of the Immigration Service. The plaintiffs are seeking that the Supreme Court would interpret the sections of the 1992 Constitution that border on the appointment of the heads of the security agencies, including Articles 200, 202.1, 202.2, 202.3, 205, 271, among others.
For this judgment, I'm already getting calls. People are waiting to hear what they will say. We thought it should be ready by now. We suspect it's because of the suspension of the Chief Justice, who was the president of this panel. It's just a suspicion. We've not been giving any reasons. In fact, it was the court clerks who informed us that the matter has been adjourned sine die. What it means is that adjourned indefinitely, which is quite a bit surprising and disappointing to me, because a judgment which is a few months in the making could have been ready and maybe could have been delivered. It is true that the Chief Justice was the president of the panel, but she was not the only member of the panel. And in my dreams, I was hoping that she would have given her judgment and that it would have been delivered today. But wishes are not horses. So we've been told that it's been adjourned sine die. It's unfortunate because of how important this ruling is. All of us who are waiting for it will have to wait a bit more. We are still very hopeful that given the arguments that we've made, the ruling should come out to the effect that the president cannot remove any security chief without just cause.
Well, it's time to bring you the latest updates in the world of sports. People say yesterday noise pollution was stopped. Monica Bukari has joined me with the latest in sports.
I don't know whether you support Barcelona, whether Real Madrid, whether Inter, but every day, like every other person, was against Barcelona. It was all about Inter Milan yesterday.
Right.
And they certainly put Barcelona out of the Champions League. So we are excited. But let's bring you details of all that shortly. Do stay. Now, in an official transition for Ghanaian sports leadership, Richard Abukabua Esquire has officially assumed the role of the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, GHOC, taking over from Benunu Mensah in a formal handing over ceremony held at the Olympic House in Accra. Benunu Mensah, who served as GHOC president since 2017, expressed his gratitude for the opportunity to have led and highlighted as just a symbolic gesture for the sports fraternity to know there's officially been a change in leadership. Richard Abukabua Esquire thanked Mensah for his service and pledged to further develop Ghana's Olympic movement.
Symbolically, Mr. President, I officially now hand over my office, which is the head of this organization, as well as all the documentation, the emails and everything that has to do. There are a few kits that are left over from the games that we have. So, Mr. President, congratulations, and this is the key to your office.
In acceptance, Richard Abukabua Esquire, the newly elected president, thanked Mensah for his service and pledged to further develop Ghana's Olympic movements with an emphasis on youth development, transparency, and performance excellence.
I'd like to thank Mr. Mensah very much for his service to the Ghana Olympic Committee and his team, Mr. Frederick Achie and Mr. Abedia, for coming this morning so that we can, as it were, hand over officially, even though we've been talking over a period of time. So thank you very much. You are still a part of our family, and if there's any...
Now away from that, let's head to the UEFA Champions League, where Inter Milan produced a dramatic late turnaround to beat Barcelona 7-6 in a thrilling all-time classic of a Champions League semi-final. With just 2 minutes of stoppage time left, Inter trailed 3-2 on the night and were headed out when 37-year-old centre-back Francesco Acerbi smashed a cross into the roof of the net to level the tie, and substitute David Amprantesi won it for the Italian champions, curling a beautiful left-footed shot into the bottom corner in the first period of extra time. Barca had earlier recovered from a 5-3 down on aggregate to lead 6-5, having also trailed 2-0 and 3-2 during an equally remarkable first leg. That decisive goal, however, scored by substitute Fantesi, set off explosive celebrations in Milan, and Barca crumbled. Time to now hear from Barca coach Hansi Flick.
Everyone is disappointed, but we could be disappointed while we are out, because we invested a lot of this match and came back again, and I think some decisions were 50-50 always for Inter, but it's like that, and we have to accept it. It's football, and at the end, but we can be proud about our performance, and this was really. I'm proud. I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of my team. We give everything, and this is sometimes it's like that. It's you feel a little bit unfair, because I think some decision the referee made was really maybe not on our side, and but it's like that. Okay, we have to accept.
Now PSG take on Arsenal later this evening, but let's talk about that on the game this afternoon at 1 p.m. here on GHOne TV and Star FM. My name is Monica Bukari. Back to you, Joshua.
Many thanks, Monica, for serving us the sports. Let's now check out what's happening in the world of arts and entertainment. Now, President John Mahama has tasked the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Adabla Gumashi, to plan a national ceremony in honor of Ghana's renowned palm wine high life musician, GHOne. Now, in honor of the President's directive, we take a trip through the life of GHOne, one of the early proponents of Ghana's iconic palm wine music, the Yadinswa hitmaker.
Musical heritage stands one of its most treasured icons, GHOne. Born Abukabua in the Ashanti region, GHOne has for decades remained a beacon of traditional wisdom, musical brilliance, and cultural preservation. A master guitarist, composer, folklorist, and storyteller, his work has transcended entertainment, offering deep philosophical insight into the Ghanaian way of life, like Onyayaya, exposing the pains of poverty.
If you think that education is expensive, try ignorance.
So my qualified in the case in you will say, knowledge is not wisdom.
Figure in the genre of palm wine music, GHOne has mesmerized audiences both at home and abroad with his intricate guitar playing, rich lyrical content, and calming voice. His songs, often performed in Chi, are deeply rooted in Akan proverbs and traditional values, addressing themes of morality, community, love, and everyday life with subtle humor and profound depth. His performance.
Yes, we're celebrating a GHOne there, but let's check out what is happening elsewhere. From the world have gathered in Vatican City to begin the sacred and the secretive process of electing a new pope following the death of Pope Francis. Now this afternoon, the Cardinals will proceed to the Sistine Chapel where they will vote beneath Michelangelo's iconic frescoes. Now, once inside around 17:30 local time in the Vatican, which is about 3:30 p.m. here in Ghana, they will be cut off entirely from the outside world. No phones, no internet, no newspapers. The centuries-old ritual known as the conclave, which is Latin for with key, ensures total isolation. Now, the Cardinals will reside at Casa Santa Marta within Vatican walls and remain under strict seclusion until a successor is chosen. To be elected, a candidate must secure a two-thirds majority, at least 89 votes. And now, if no decision is reached today, voting will resume tomorrow with up to 4 ballots each day. Well, on that note, we wrap up the bulletin here on Newsroom on GHOne Television. There's more news for you at starfm.com. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Good afternoon.
GHOne OV van has been one of the best vans I've used personally in this country. It runs a system where we are able to run on Dante to be able to do our broadcast mixed well also from this van.
I've used this OB van for quite a number of big productions, i.e. 3 music awards, the late President Rollis' state funeral, Miss Africa awards, and a number of them.
My experience with the GHOne van has been the state of the art equipment they have. Personal experience is you can use it for both indoor and outdoor, all events, conferencing, like anything you need a van to work for you, GHOne provides it.
My experience with the van has been very good. Why? Because it has a number of facilities that I may not get in other vans. You know, the van has a very wide bench that can accommodate all my technical crew. ICC, switcher, graphics, CG, and all of that. And then it also has a studio, a green room studio that comes with TriCaster. So if you want somebody to do commentary on a live event, you can put that presenter or host in that studio as well and get that running.
To give an experience to our audience, we're also watching on TVs and online. Work with an Exo technology system, which makes your video mixing with Panasonic cameras, like a lot of other stuff in terms of content you need to get also for your live broadcasts.
I prefer the GHOne van to a lot of other vans I've used, or even doing my own setup on a tabletop setup. Because on a production you see a number of people in the van. And so if you have a very small van, it means that it's going to be choked, and that will affect the creativity as well. The price has been discounted as well to accommodate varied budgets. And so no matter the budget you have, I understand you can have the track and do business with it.
It looks huge, but very affordable. Cost is really, really affordable. My experience with it, EMI Awards last year, super excellent. Try it, call them, and I'm going to give you the best of price. Really affordable.